Hello, everyone, and welcome to the College and Beyond Real Talk with Amour. If you have not already guessed, I am your host, Amour Carthy. And on today's episode 14, we will be exploring Rooted in the South, Rising in Sports, Cameron Smith's journey from scholarships to Ph.D. And today's episode is sponsored by Education Innovations. I am the founder and CEO, and our goal is to help guide your journey from college admissions to life beyond. We help families by meeting with students one on one for consultations. We help guide them through their high school years by advising, mentoring, helping them choose classes, picking summer programs that fit their what they like and their passions, and then we help with the college applications and scholarships. So, without further ado, let's bring on our special guest, Cameron. Hi, Cammy. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. So, what university are you representing?
The University of Alabama. Roll Tide.
Real time. Well, we also have to give you a congratulations because you just graduated with your second master's degree like yesterday.
Yes.
All right. So, why don't we get into your college decision journey? Let's take it back. What did your college dreams look like in high school?
In high school, I thought I was going to Penn State for some reason. It was always my dream to go to Penn State. I watched all the volleyball games. I played volleyball, and I just had my heart set out for Penn State, and that turned around very quick.
Okay. So, what made you choose Alabama instead?
So when deciding where I wanted to go, how far away I wanted to be from my parents was a huge factor. And my best friend, who's a year older than me, Chloe, she was like, Cammy, just go tour Alabama. It's an excused absence, so you might as well. And I was like, okay. She was going there. Her siblings went there and her family's from Alabama. So she was like, just go tour. The worst you can do is hate it. And I said, okay. And so me and my childhood best friend and my mom, we got in the car. We went to go tour Auburn, then Tuskegee, then Alabama. And then I
Mm.
chose that day.
Mm. So it seems like your like friends played a part, your family.
Mhm.
Did finances play in your college decision process also?
Yes and no. So I was still in that bubble where I'm oblivious to the price of everything. And I didn't even look at how much the school cost or anything like that. I said, okay, I just want to go. So when we toured all the other institutions and then toured Alabama, I said, oh, this is it. This is at home. I feel like I'm home away from home. Mom, get ready. She said,
Mhm.
what do you mean get ready? You better start applying to scholarships. And then that's the day that I looked up how much it costs to attend. I said, oh, out of state tuition is insane. But yeah.
So, when you visited Alabama, what was that moment when you knew it was the right place for you? You said it felt like home. Like,
Yes.
what are the things that made you feel like it was your home away from home?
So I grew up in Atlanta, so I'm used to Southern hospitality, but at Alabama, it was to a different level. It was the yes ma'ams and no ma'ams, but it wasn't to be militant. It was just to show respect. And so
Mm.
um, it was it was very homey immediately. You have to tour the campus and get that feel to really know what I'm saying. But going on the tour and talking to the tour guides, the capstone men and women who were just exceptional that day. Um, and then, of course, having my best friend who was already here,
Mhm.
um, she was able to give me some real stories and just show me a different side. And I was like, yeah, this is where I'm going to be.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that with us. So, we're going to now move into finding your footing and flourishing because that's what you have been doing. You earned not one, but two master's degree, and now you're about to start your PhD this fall. How did that evolve over time?
So I knew I was going to go to grad school after graduating with my bachelor's in public health. And that was because I did the accelerated master's program. I already started it, you got to finish it. So I applied to become a community director, which was the position on campus that paid for both of my master's degrees. You have to be able to to sit from August to May in the position. And I was like, okay, well, we'll worry about that December graduation when we get there. Well, then we got there. And I was like, I don't know what I'm about to do. So I started asking a bunch of questions, and I knew I was interested in sports, always have been. And then working for the University of Alabama's football team, working in recruiting, I was like, okay, if I do go into sports, I don't want the only thing on my resume to be that I had an internship.
Mm.
So I talked to the advisors within sports management, which our sports management program, their advisors, top tier, the professors, they really care about getting their students where they need to be. So I was so grateful, and I was able to create a game plan
Mhm.
with Dr. Lewis, and he went through my transcript, and him and his whoever helped on that team, they were like, we have this student, she's fantastic, she's done the classes, let's figure out how we can get them to count. So they were able to count some of my classes, and I ended up only having to take 6 extra courses, so 2 last
Wow.
semester and 4 this semester, to get my sports management master's degree, which helped me sit until May into the position, which helped cover the rest of the original master's program a
Mm.
lot. But that's how I ended up doing the second master's, which is great. And then the PhD, I said, you know, I'm really passionate about that transitional stage between recruit to now you're an athlete at this institution. That thought process and how these guys and even the girls who are getting recruited for other sports, what they're going through, the
Mhm.
psychology of it all, that's what I'm passionate about. And so I was able to find a program with great advisors here that are ready to help me polish and figure out what I want to do with my PhD program. And now I do.
Mm. So you made a few academic pivots from nursing to public health to sports management and now sports psychology. What guided those transitions?
So nursing, my parents told me you're going to do nursing. So I did nursing, and I said, oh, I hate this so much. Kudos to all the nurses. Oh my gosh, I couldn't do it. um, but I'm the one of the 3 that actually listened to mommy and daddy. So I said, okay, 3 weeks before junior year started, I switched to public health, and suddenly the sun shined again. And the reason I
Mm.
chose public health was because I needed something where all of the credits of classes that I've already taken would count.
Mm.
And my advisor at the time, she was like, Cami, try public health. And this was the first time it was spoken to me in not a just do public health type of way. It was
Mhm.
positive. And I said, you know what? Okay, I'll look into it. Looked into it, loved it, changed immediately.
Mhm.
When I started working for Alabama football recruiting is when I said, again, I don't want the only thing on my resume, if I did choose to work in sports, to be
Mhm.
that I had an internship at Alabama football, which is
Mhm.
great. It does
Mhm.
hold some form of weight, but I want you to know that I know what I'm doing.
Mhm.
So that's how I pivoted to adding um, sports to my little book of things I can do. But it wasn't in a sense of um, just look at my resume, I can do it. No, I want you to know I'm knowledgeable about whatever I'm trying to do.
Mm. Okay. So tell us about the scholarship journey. How did you go about securing over $40,000 in aid? And I think that was for your bachelor's, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So tell us
So,
about that.
okay, so I've always been a very, okay, I'm gonna just go ask the person. The worst they can do is not know or say no. And when I finally did look up the tuition and I applied, and I said, okay, mom, I have the grades. Hopefully they'll give me some scholarships. We're in ACT season, so maybe my scores will be good enough for them to give me scholarships too.
Mhm.
Well, my scores were great. All you needed was a 27, and I got that. Okay, I
Mhm.
passed that, so cool. All
Mhm.
you needed was a 27 um, for them to waive your out-of-state tuition. And
Mhm.
so when I applied and only got one scholarship, and it was for like $4,000, I said, "What is that gonna do? That's like
Mhm.
a penny in this bucket of $60,000."
Mhm.
So I emailed the president, and he's retiring, and he's been such a great president. But I emailed Dr. Bell, and I said, "Hey, this is me. This is my academic resume. Help." And I wasn't expecting him to respond. He has a whole university to run, but
Mhm.
um, he responded, and then he said, "Next steps are this. I'm gonna send you to my assistant. He's over all of this stuff. He'll get to talking to you. I said, oh, okay, cool. I'm thinking he's about to give me the runaround. No,
Mhm.
the assistant really did email me back. He got more information out of me. He said, just trust me. If I don't get back to you today, tomorrow, next week, or next month, I'm still working. I said, okay, cool. He didn't get back to me. It was time to submit the deposit for the housing contract. We did it. It was like $400, I think.
Mhm.
We did it. And I said, well, he better email me back. Next thing you know, my out-of-state tuition was waived. I had another scholarship, and he changed that 1-year scholarship to a 4-year scholarship. So all we had to pay for my freshman year was housing. And we
Mm.
went from 60 grand a year to 9,000. Cool, we could do that. So
Yes.
my whole thing freshman year was making sure that I got as involved as possible, so that way I could help even chip away at just that $9,000. And
Mhm.
so I became an RA after first semester. You apply,
Mhm.
and I became an RA. I was able to get that for sophomore year. Well, that takes care of your housing. So now we don't pay for housing at all. So now I'm at this school fully free, off of just emailing the president, just asking.
Mm.
What's it called? Encourage everybody to do that, because it may not
Mhm.
work out, but
Mhm.
it worked out for me, and I'm so grateful for it. But that's how I was able to secure all those scholarships.
Wow, that's an amazing story. That shows you're, advocating for yourself, and I love the attitude. Like, I mean, I'm gonna ask, like, what's the worst they could say is no,
Yeah.
and he didn't. So, you've been super involved on campus. You're
Mhm.
an AKA parent ambassador, orientation leader. What have those experiences meant to you personally and professionally?
Personally, I've realized it's okay to be a people person. I'm not a people pleaser. There is a difference, and I had to learn that. But I am a people person. I am
What's
very
the
in
difference
tune. Oh,
what's the
people
difference for
pleaser.
our audience?
You turn into a doormat. You're just doing anything to make sure that they have a smile on your face, smile on their face, even if it means yours is disappearing. A people
Mhm.
person, I'm very compassionate, I'm very understanding, but I do also respect my own boundaries when it comes to
Mhm.
people. So I had to really learn that as I went from being a parent ambassador, where you're dealing with parents. They only care about, is my kid safe? What is there to do around here? Is my kid safe? How much am I paying for? Is my kid safe? Do they really need their car on campus? So going from, like, not rigid, but going from a serious, this is what they care about, to okay, I can relax. It was very hard going in between the two, but I had to really learn, you do not have to be a people pleaser to be a people person.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's what they taught me.
How did COVID impact your college experience, and how did you adapt?
So my freshman year is when the world decided to blow up because of COVID, and we got sent home. I'll never forget it. It was Friday, March 13th. My best friend Chloe, she said, Cammie, when you get out of that midterm, that for some reason my professor just did not want to cancel. But she said, when you get out of that midterm, hurry up and go home. She lived in Presidential Village 1, and I lived in Ridgecrest East my freshman year. So she said, go home, pack up whatever you can pack up, bring whatever's important. Don't forget any of your chargers. We're going home. And she was like, I just have the feeling that we're not coming back. And I said, okay. And she said, and if we're wrong, I will help you put your stuff back in your dorm myself. She
Mhm.
was spot on. To this day, Cody was like, I don't know what went over me, but I had a great first semester. I got so involved. And then second semester, March 13th, the world just, we shut down.
Mhm.
And he was like, okay, um, our president was saying you'll get an extra week home, and then we'll be back. And then we weren't back. And I said, oh my gosh, my freshman year ended in a pandemic. It ended
Mm.
in March. What am I about to do?
Mm.
But I decided to make the best of it. I did email just to say thank you to Dr. Bell and his assistant again, and say, this is what I was able to do in such a short period of time. Thank you for the opportunity of getting and letting me get here. But that's how it changed everything. I went from being around so many people to just my parents. And then my mom had to take my textbook for organic chemistry. I was taking organic chemistry. Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
She took my textbook and learned 11 chapters in like 3 days, so that she
Mm.
could teach me, because I was not doing so hot in organic chemistry.
Mm.
But in
Mhm.
3 days, knew it. And so she was teaching me 10 hours a day at that table. For some reason, it just did not stick, but
Mm.
got out of that class great. But that's how it just changed. We went from being so to get away from me, don't touch me, don't talk to me, I don't know what's going on, only being around my parents. That's it. Ugh.
So let's pivot to the power of purpose. What did working in football recruiting teach you about relationships? I'm sorry, not relationship, about leadership, communication, or resilience?
As far as leadership goes, when I worked for football recruiting, I would go from being a supervisor in housing, where I'm the one of the 3 community directors over Tutwiler Hall, where the supervisor hat. I am here for my 36 students. And then when I leave this building and I go to football recruiting, I am just a student intern. I don't have control. I'm being told what to do, which is no problem.
Mhm.
Um, and I felt like because I had to switch positions so much, it helped
Mhm.
me to be more compassionate to these parents,
Mm.
because I'm taking orders and I'm being told what to do by my supervisor, and what she's telling us to do is for the betterment of the experience of these recruits and their families. Because you're not just recruiting the student. Yeah, you want the kid to come play, but you're also bringing their family and whoever they have in their corner with them, and you need to make sure you're catering to them too. So the long days, to make sure that the experience is great for them, even if they're only here for 2 hours,
Mhm.
we're setting up and working hard for 14 hours a day prior to that. And that it takes a level of resilience to do that.
Mhm.
Getting to know people. I will say, when the coaching staff changed, when Coach Saban retired, the biggest difference was how personable the new staff was. And not personable as in they're nicer than no, everybody was nice even in the old staff, but this staff just, they really went out their way to be like, hey, I'm so and so, and I'm like, oh, okay, hey, I'm Cami, and I'm just like, I'm just a student worker, you don't really have to pay
Mm.
attention to me, but they chose to. And so
Mhm.
learning that different leadership styles, that changes the dynamic within the workplace. And it
Mhm.
also taught me that just because you're in a leadership position, just because you're someone's supervisor, does not mean you're a good leader. Um,
Mm.
and it showed me what I needed to put in my toolbox, so that when I did walk out of that building and I walked back into being a supervisor here, I was a better supervisor here. I learned a lot of what I would not do as a supervisor from football recruiting, but I just had a great experience overall. I've made some of
Mhm.
my best friends as well,
Mhm.
um, who I'll probably see later today. But it was a great experience for real.
Okay. And so you've navigated tough work environments too. What have you
Mhm.
learned about protecting your peace and finding better fits?
So, sports in general is a super male dominated field. We already know that. The tough work environment that was sports, I will say, a lot of my closest friends that I made there, it was almost as if we got close because we were trauma bonded.
Mm.
But in a funnier way, like trauma is in, oh, we're working 14-hour days. It's hot. If these people don't come set up this stage in the next 10 minutes, I'm gonna lose my mind. But being
Mhm.
able to laugh at those things. So working in tough environments, you have to make it fun. And me,
Mhm.
I'm gonna find a reason to smile, find a reason to laugh, because I refuse to be miserable when I'm putting in my hard work. I'm not about to be
I know
miserable.
that's right.
And if I am miserable, that means it's time for me to go.
Mm.
Um, I will say that's something else I learned. Whether it's me or somebody else, if you are miserable in the work environment to the point where you are taking it out on people,
Mhm.
it's time for you to go.
Mm.
For real, it's time to go. It's okay. Thank you for your time. Figure out what you've learned, make your exit, because you're not making your stay positive anymore.
Mm. I like that. That's really good advice. Look, I mean, it's so truthful. I'm just thinking about, my past and my work experience. And yes, when you are miserable, it's time to exit. Bye-bye.
Mhm.
And look, nobody's gonna take my joy.
Exactly.
What inspired your shift towards behavioral health and how does that align with your future goals?
So, with public health, we do a lot of, when you're going to fix a problem, you don't look at it in find your own resolution. You are supposed to look at the problem, see who it's affecting, and you need to go talk to the people who it's affecting to
Mhm.
get ideas of a resolution. Because what you think might work, it might not be what's important to them. And
Mm.
so that way of thinking is where what I got from public health. Now, sports management, I realized, okay, working in recruiting, we're working with these students who are going from being recruits to
Mhm.
players. That
Mhm.
transitional time from being a recruit to a player, what's going on in their brains? You have young athletes like Ryan Williams, who was 17 when he got here, couldn't even open up his own bank account without a parent. Like, he's young.
Mhm.
So considering he couldn't do just that one, what's simple to me at this
Mhm.
age, he couldn't do that. How is that affecting him? Something as small as that, meaning
Mhm.
he doesn't have even control over opening something.
Mm.
Learning how to go to him, not him specifically, but like go to a player, see what's wrong, like a recruit, see what's wrong before they were a player, watch the family dynamic,
Mm.
being able to understand the family dynamic without asking prying questions,
Mhm.
observing. Um, I would say that in a nutshell is how I wanted to move towards behavioral health. And
Mhm.
then the superheroes like Ginger Gilmore, who worked in behavioral health and wellness, she's a rock star. She just retired in February. And then Jeff Allen and who else? Paige Rudin, those people, that's their whole niche. Um, I was able to observe from recruit to player. They're able to observe and help from player to so on. And
Mhm.
where my stop would be once they become a player, like, yeah, I don't really have anything to do with you anymore. Next recruit, theirs is, okay, how can we help you, because you have to be a good as an individual so that you can perform as a student, and how can we help you as a student so that you can perform as a player, because if they're not good as a person, they're not going to be a good student, they're not going to be a good player. They're a
Mm.
person first. So how are we helping them at the root first? And so
Mm.
that's what made me really want to get into behavioral health without being like, I don't want to be somebody's therapist for real. That's not my thing. But I
Mhm.
do like finding the problems and figuring out interventions. And then that was the public health side coming back again.
Mm. So, with that background and your experience, I mean, you've learned a lot.
Hmm.
How do you see your background in public health and sports management coming together in your, your future career? And I know that you said that you want to possibly work with no, we're gonna speak it into existence. That one day you want to work for the Atlanta Falcons,
Yes.
what how does this come together and what do you see yourself doing?
Working in their sports psychology department is something that I see myself doing. I didn't even realize that the NFL franchises had a sports psychology department. I was just describing what I wanted to do as sports psychology,
Mhm.
but turns out they have a department, and somebody who was over, actually a team of people who's over the overall health and well-being of the athlete.
Mhm.
And that's where I want to end up being. I said the Atlanta Falcons because it's home. I want to go home. I want to be with my mama and my daddy. Still
Mhm.
to this day, everybody said I was going to grow out of that once I went to college. Haha, no. Then graduate 3 times. I still want to go back to my mommy and daddy, please.
Mhm.
Um, but I do want to work for the Atlanta Falcons. I think they're the whole organization.
Mhm.
Now that I know somewhat a glimpse of what behind the scenes of a football organization looks like, I looked at theirs, and theirs is really great. It's phenomenal. Um, and again, it's home. I don't really want to go far.
So, what advice would you give to students who feel pressure to follow one set path?
Please don't feel pressured. If I would have let nursing really consume me, I don't think I would be where I am today. I would be successful no matter what, because that's always my forefront. I'm going to be good at whatever I'm doing, whatever
Mhm.
I'm passionate about. But I know, like I told one of my students, never let the box of your major close you in.
Mhm.
Don't let it confine you, and don't let it define what you actually want to do, because you don't know what your passion is yet. You're just doing what sounds good right now.
Mm.
Um, I just, that's the advice I would give as far as like being pressured. Do not feel pressured. College is for change. And then be curious. It's okay to be curious. Anything that I've been curious about, I've gone out and I've gotten whatever it was so that I am no longer curious, which is, it can be terrible because I can be very like, I want that. Very persistent. And then once I get it, it's like, whatever. But I was curious about it and now I know. But always be curious and do not stay in the box of your major.
That's really good advice. So, how do you define success now, and how has that changed since your freshman year?
I define success by being the most accomplished person in the room my freshman year, and that's so wrong. You can have the longest resume on earth and still be miserable, still be bitter, still be looking for more because the only thing that filled your cup was academic achievement.
Mm.
You're not going to be in school forever.
Mhm.
So what's next? What else is going to give you that feeling? So I would say my version of success is anything that makes me happy, anything that I'm passionate about,
Mhm.
anything that I can do. Because my whole thing is I never wanted a job. Job means just over broke. I never wanted a job because because then you're just doing just enough to get by. And
Mhm.
that's not what I wanted. I want a fulfilling career where I'm going to be happy.
Mhm.
I want to be in a work environment where I'm going to be so passionate about what I'm doing that I'm positive and I can pour into the next people. So
Mhm.
suppose I have a group of students working under me. I want them to see, okay, she loves her job. Why does she love her job so much?
Mhm.
And if it is working in client relations or if it is working in recruiting or if it is sports psychology,
Mhm.
um, whatever it is, I just want to be so happy there that it
Mhm.
doesn't feel like I'm constantly going to work. You don't want work to feel like a task.
Mm.
Um, so yeah,
Dropping the gems.
that's what I define my success as. Just I'm happy with what I'm doing.
Okay. So, if high school seniors could take away one thing from your story, what would it be?
Ask anybody any question. It don't matter what it is. If it's dumb to them, it's not to you. If it's old to them, it's new to you. So ask away. You never know what asking a question and having a conversation with somebody is going to get you.
Mhm.
And don't be afraid of somebody saying no. That's the worst they can do.
Yep. So, I mean, even though I said that, are relationships important on your journey and your future journey, and why?
Yes, relationships are super, super important. You want to build your network and you want your net to work for you. So um, I say that because my mentor, he's the general manager of Alabama football, and he has, anytime I've had a question, anytime I've had my curiosity about a position, he'll get me in connection with somebody who can answer those questions.
Mm.
And that is a genuine mentorship. He's a phenomenal mentor. And then you have my professors who I have bombarded so much throughout the years. They don't mind reaching out. Hey, Cami, um, do you mind talking to this student? But they don't mind reaching out to me because of how much I've reached out to them
Mhm.
to build a relationship with them. So
So
they
it's a give and
know me.
take.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so they
Mhm.
know me. And then I have like 30 other students who don't mind texting me, asking me questions, but that's because we built relationships. I just think they're super, super important.
Mhm.
And you never know what you'll get from a relationship. Some people are here for a reason, some people are here for just a season, and that's fine. But you have to know what you're going to take away from those things. Every relationship is transactional. Every relationship is. But what is it that you're wanting from a relationship? What's it worth to you?
Mhm. Okay. So now this is our bonus part of this segment. It's the rapid fire fun round. All right. So just say the first thing that comes to your mind. No overthinking. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay. Roll Tide or Go Falcons.
Roll Tide.
Favorite late night study snack.
A Georgia peach green tea from Seven Brew, light ice, extra sweet, and the birthday cake drizzleicious. Rice cakes, yep.
you you had that down. Um, what's your go to hype song before a big moment?
Hustler music by Lil Wayne.
If you weren't in sports or behavioral health, what career would you try for one day?
Acting.
Um, What kind of acting? Would it be comedy, drama, you
I think
know?
it would be like drama, rom-com. Yeah.
Mm, okay. Best advice your mom ever gave you?
Both my parents say it all the time. It's nice to be nice. And that's so true. You never know what it'll get you, but it's so nice to be nice. Being mean causes wrinkles too. So,
Which celebrity would play you in the movie of your life?
I would say, let's go Marseille Martin. I think she's phenomenal.
Okay. Um, Dream vacation spot once that PhD is in the bag.
Italy.
Okay. One word to describe your college journey.
Fulfilling.
Okay. So we are wrapping up. And since, you are the guest, I want you to leave our guests with some words of wisdom, whatever you say.
Just again, be curious. It's okay to be curious. Go after any and everything that you want that you're actually passionate about, and never take no. Rejection is just redirection. Maybe it's just time to go back to the drawing board and figure it out. If it's something that you're really passionate about getting, it's okay. No just means not right now.
So thank you so much. And we'll see everyone on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.